cooking?
Yesterday.
Right. Yeah, Butler and Carlisle unbeaten in 9, only lost 1 this season.
They won last weekend against Doncaster 3-0 and at home. Also, only one defeat this season.
Want to get position for me so I can just
Of course, mate.
cameras and watch you guys get
Is it Thomas Holy or Thomas?
Thomas.
Thomas.
Like Thomas, he's Czech.
Is it Tomasz?
Tomas. Well, yeah. Thomas.
Tomasz. Where does John Relish play? Is he a midfielder?
No, centre back. Like they played 3-5 at the back.
He used to. Who did he play for before Carlisle?
Was it? It wasn't Mansfield, was it? Or
It was someone, but anyway.
He played like Championship, didn't he? Or
No, we played against him in the National League somewhere, and then he got a move to Carlisle. He moved to Carlisle, and he went from being a defender to then being like almost playing off the front, like in midfield.
Really?
Yeah, and there was like, I think the season before last, he scored quite a few goals.
Yeah. I think he might drop that back into
he's
defence.
young. He's only 25.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he'd been about a bit.
Yeah, no, because
He was at Gateshead.
Gateshead.
He's played it square, opportunity for Gelman to score, to open the count for the O's. Oh, he enjoyed that one. On the Mariners supporters, blows his whistle. George Moncur steps up and scores. Bottom corner of the net. The goalkeeper was very close, and it's George. He lets in a low cross and a spin turn in. And Leyton back on level terms. He'll come to James. He shoots. Oh, and a goal from Tom James. That was a volley, and that was. It's a low cross. It's an inviting cross, and it's been turned in by Theo Archibald, and he celebrates in front of the travelling faithful.
Good afternoon and welcome to Orient Live. We're bringing you another mammoth clash in League 2 this afternoon, with both sides only tasting defeat once so far this season. The O's are facing Carlisle, and those points will be crucial for either side. And we're absolutely delighted to be bringing you Joe Widdowson, an Orient legend, and Andrew Butler in the studio to go over all the action. And it's another massive game, Andrew. We've had Northampton recently. The points are really up for grabs at the moment.
Yeah, Northampton obviously at home, which was a frustrating result to draw 0-0 against them, considering the situation that we managed to find ourselves in. And then away at Doncaster, they're not bad results, but they're frustrating results. And I think now that we've got ourselves into a position this season where we've been flying, to not go without a win for 3 games now is a massive test. And Carlisle are really up again, they're really at it at the moment too.
And you mentioned the lack of 3 points recently, but last Saturday is a decent performance against Northampton. The red card maybe made it a little bit tougher, but we've had to battle a bit in recent weeks.
Yeah, we have. And, it was always going to come after such a great start. And, it was kind of plain sailing for a while and just picking up routine victories. But, been a slight kind of stumble, if you like. But I thought last week the performance was really good against Northampton. I thought it was a really good game. They came and were really positive. Obviously, after the sending off, the O's dominated. And just, to be fair to Northampton, I thought they defended really well. They were quite resolute, and Orient couldn't find a winner. But I thought the performance was good. But definitely, after the last few games, the boys will be looking to pick up 3 points today.
We don't want to state the obvious, but Carlisle's not exactly around the corner. How will the boys be feeling? I think it's about 300 miles they've had to travel for this one. It's the one everyone looks out for in the season. It's that tough one, isn't it?
It's a horrible one, yeah. The journey is not a nice one. It's a really long way to go. It's always a tough game up there. The pitch is big, it's open. I feel like because they're so far away and so remote, it almost gives them a bit of impetus. They want their home games to be difficult for the opposition. So it's always tough, and obviously they're in really good form as well and going strong. So will be a difficult game for the O's this afternoon, definitely.
It is certainly going to be a tough one, and the O's have made a couple of changes in anticipation of this test as Darren Prattley and Idris El Mazouni come back into the side. But let's take a look at the lineup in full, and in goal, as always, is number 22, Lawrence Vigouroux. In at right back is number 2, Tom James, taking up that first centre-back position. Number 5, Dan Happy. Out on wide is number 7, Paul Smith, and on the opposite flank is number 11, Theo Archibald. And then joining Idris and Darren in the midfield is number 14, George Moncur. Number 16, Aaron Drynan leads the line. And number 19, Omar Beckles partners Dan Happy at the back. With number 32, Rob Hunt in at left back, with Jordan Brown and Craig Clay dropping to the bench. And joining them on the bench as well is Sam Sargent, Shad Oji, Ruel Satiriou, Jaden Wareham and Charlie Kelman. And the two changes are not really a surprise, are they, Andrew?
No, not at all. And this team we've spoken about this season, it looks like one of the strongest that we can possibly put out. Great to see Idris El Mazouni back. Of course, we've missed him for the last couple of games. He's been such a revelation to us since he's joined the club. And when we saw him on the team sheet and saw his figure emerge off the team bus, you're like, yeah, right, we've got a chance now. We really do have a chance with him in the team. And then Darren Prattley coming back in, having played a decent chunk of the game on Tuesday evening. I'm kind of slightly surprised by that, but at the same time, that's a really, really strong midfield, and we're going to need it up against Carlisle, where their strength is really in that midfield too.
And it was reported it was just a bug that kept Prattley out of that game against Northampton. He was on the bench, but how big is it to have your captain come back in, especially when he really does seem to drive the team on as much as he does?
Yeah, no, it's important. I think he's clearly got a lot of influence within the team. Obviously, vastly experienced. So I think he brings a lot of know-how as well as a lot of energy still, despite his age. He really gets around the place and covers a lot of ground. So he'll be important. Likewise, obviously, Idris back in. I really like the look of him. I think he's really tidy, good range of passing. He's almost like a conductor in that 4 position, and a lot of the play goes through him. So, he'll be a big boost today, yeah.
I'm sure. And that first 10, 11 games of the season where we made history, it was with more or less that midfield 3, and they were so consistent, they performed so well. George Moncur in there as well. It just seems so nicely balanced.
Yeah, absolutely, and we will have to be at our very best this afternoon, because, like I said, Carlisle's strength is in that in their midfield 3 as well. It's really pleasing to see that midfield 3 that we've got. I think what we should do today is really take encouragement from how we played against Barrow, which was a reasonably similar team, similar kind of distance, similar kind of away game, really similar type of away proposition as well. And we went there expecting it to be one of the hardest games that we'll get that season, and we came away with all 3 points, which was absolutely massive for us. We shouldn't be too disheartened by what's happened in the last couple of weeks when we've put in those sort of performances. So hopefully they'll take some encouragement from what we did against Barrow, because Carlisle almost like a carbon copy of that sort of a game.
And similarly to the midfield, Joe, the defence really on paper is what you'd imagine would be Richie's first choice. It was that same consistent defence, similarly to the midfield. And do you think that fills the team with maybe a little bit of extra confidence, maybe a bit more just calmness when you know that is kind of the starting 11?
Yeah, for sure. Having a settled back four, I think, is vital. You want the back four to build those partnerships. Your centre backs with their full backs, and obviously with Loz in goal as well, who he's Mr. Ever Present, isn't he? So no, it's really important. And I think Rob Hunt coming back in, I thought Sweens did really well when he stepped in, but I think Rob Hunt, he's got that bit more experience. Gives him probably that little bit more security, and going away from home, like Carlisle was one of those horrible away fixtures, that you just want to get in and out of and get the job done, pick up some points and forget about it and move on. So I think having Rob Hunt back in there and that settled back four, along with Loz in goal, it'll give the boys a bit of confidence after picking up so many points, as a unit, back five unit in the first few games of the season.
And it was obviously a clean sheet last Saturday against Northampton. Some leaky goals on Tuesday night in that Chelsea game, but Omar was the only one who featured there. If you look from before the Northampton game as well, thankfully we managed to cut out the goals last Saturday, but that'll probably be quite high on the list of importance to stop conceding goals.
Yeah, but at the same time, we've got the best defence in English football. I mean, it's a remarkable run that we've gone on. 7 goals conceded in 13 games. I'm sat next to one of the Orient legendary defenders. That's crazy. 7 goals conceded in an opening 13 games, and of course, but we've had games where we've kept clean sheets when there's not been too much threat. Northampton, for example, last Saturday, and okay, we conceded against Doncaster and 3 on Tuesday. The 3 on Tuesday you can totally disregard. It was such a game played in an extraordinary fashion, given how much it was delayed by. In a competition where we knew we were going to make massive changes to the defence, it's okay to disregard that kind of result. The fact of the matter is, Carlisle know that they're playing against the best defensive team in the entirety of the league. They'll think, wow, they're conceding just over 0.5 of a goal per game. This is going to be incredibly tough to break us down. They've scored exactly the same amount as us this season. Carlisle 20 goals so far this season. I mean, we are really, really difficult to break down.
And looking at that Northampton game again, then yes, the clean sheet was great, but it feels like we could have maybe played for 180 to 170 minutes and that ball wouldn't have gone in the back of the net. That was probably the way that Northampton set up, but you feel as though the strikers, especially in those attacking players, will be desperate to get him and amongst the goals again.
Yeah, I think we want to try and increase our goals for tally. There's no doubt about that. I think there's a lot of really good football being played. We've got some excellent, exciting attacking players out there. Probably just we want to be, maybe trying to work opposition goalkeepers a little bit more. I think, for all the good build-up play, we want to try and maybe get some more shots off and really work the opposition keeper. But, at the same time, like Andrew said, we can't disregard that defensive record. It's outstanding. And, as much as we are praising the back four and Loz in goal, it's actually a full team effort. I think like the way Richie sets up and like the way the front three press, the midfield, like very organised and disciplined there. So we're a good defensive side in general. It's not just the defence. But yeah, going forward, I think like we've played some great stuff lately, but I think we probably just want to try and get more shots off and probably a bit more end product in that final third area is what we'll be looking for.
And you say about how the team defends as a unit, but there is a rock at the back, isn't there, in Omar Beckles? And let's just have a quick look at him in recent weeks. He is just so solid, isn't he?
He is, yeah. He's a very, very good defender. Aggressive, strong, competes well, mobile. I think probably what I like most about Omar is though he's not your typical League 2 centre half that's just going to head it and kick it. He's very comfortable with the ball. He will take the ball. He's comfortable with it. He'll step out with it, and his distribution is normally very, very good. So yeah, just all round he's just a really impressive defender at this level.
And he might not be wearing the armband, but as Joey says, he's a leader as well. He's just a big character, and I know you loved the piece from The Athletic. He's just such a great man, it seems.
Yeah, we'll see the clips of some of his best bits in an Orient shirt, and it's exactly what Joe says, getting himself in like the exact position where you want a centre back to be in, cutting out the threat, nipping it in the bud when it arrives, but also being there when the attack is already underway. I mean, talk about putting your body on the line, but it's he's been excellent and a real key part as to why we've conceded so few this season. Also great to see him, meeting another leader this week as well in King Charles. I wonder if they swapped notes on decent leadership and which way round it went.
I'm not sure I'd fancy the king in the back too with his legs, but thankfully it isn't Charles partner him. It's Dan Happy as well, and as you say, it's about that unit being together. You said earlier, Joe, and that partnership really has blossomed this season as well. And Dan Happy, we speak about all the time. They complement each other, it seems.
They do, and I actually think Omar's probably a large part of what the great form that Dan Happy showed this season. I think he brings that composure. Good communication, and the fact that they've both been, managed to stay clear of injuries, touch wood, I hope it stays that way, and they formed a really good partnership together. So, Omar's obviously a bit older, a bit more experience under his belt, and I really feel like he's guided Dan this season and brought the best out of him so far.
And we're seeing the back four there being coached by Paul Terry at the moment, and we don't really talk about Tom James as much as we did. Maybe it's because he stopped scoring 30-yard screamers. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's him and Rob Hunt are just reliable, and they get the job done.
And I think that's the thing. Being reliable is exactly the right word. It's really interesting with Tom James, because actually at the start of the season, remember, we had that couple of games in centre midfield, and we thought, this could be an interesting proposition for him in developing his game. He's settled back at right back. When you're playing full back, you only have to look in front, whereas in centre midfield you have to be 360 as well. And I think that's perhaps where he struggled a little bit in those first two games. But then that was all swept aside by the goals that he was scoring, which kind of like glossed over that. But he's an incredibly settled player. Technically, we know what he's all about. He's also a player from right back that can incredibly unlock defences from right back as well, because his range of passing, but his vision is spot on. So it's good to see that back four. I think Joe mentioned, but the fact that Sweeney was probably unlucky to not get that run in the team, but it just kind of shows how good Hunt has also been in that position.
And looking at, again, we'll refer back to that Northampton game. There were points with their team in that Rob Hunt was practically playing on the right wing, and when he's got that quality, the delivery, it's just a good option to have in your arsenal.
Yeah, he's a big weapon for the team, and I think the reason I like TJ at right back rather than in midfield, don't get me wrong, I think he can do a good job in there, but I think I like him at right back because he has that time to use his delivery, which is such a unique skill that he's got. You don't see many fullbacks like offering the threat that he provides, and I think every game he always gives you moments. Whether it's a cross from out wide, whether it's a set piece, there's always a chance where you think something special could happen. I think he struck a really good free kick last week against Northampton. So yeah, he's got that. He's got that skill set where he can, like Andrew said, he can unlock an opposition defence with a piece of skill. So yeah, he's a really, really important player for the O's.
He certainly is, and that unlocking the defence will be key. The goals haven't been too fruitful in recent league games, but he'll need to be one of the players supplying Aaron Drine and leading the line. He's kept his space, and he's still finding his feet a little bit. Do you feel, Andrew?
Yeah, perhaps. But having said that, I don't think any of the like the kind of out and out strikers have been. Let's say overperformed this season. They performed at a reasonable enough level that have got us to this point where we are this season in the league. But we have been probably a bit too reliant on someone like Paul Smith, Theo Archibald unlocking defences. Obviously, George Moncur's chipped in with a couple of goals, as has Tom James too. So it will be really nice just to see the strikers, whoever that might be, providing that threat as well. Because I think the thing that we've been lacking so far this season is a performance in which you say that was an excellent performance, but we also could have put that team to the sword. So, for example, that game against Hartlepool when we won 4-2, I mean, amazingly, 2 of our 7 goals this season that we've conceded have been against the worst team in the league. But that we had to score 4 because, you know, they got back in the game. But we haven't put in a performance where you think, actually, on another day, this could have been 4, 5, 6. Whereas Carlisle have actually had those sort of performances where they played well and also put away their chances, and that's something that I just want to see a little bit more from us. We've got the ability, we know we're a good team, but we've yet to kind of string together a full 90 minutes where you go, do you know what, we're so far and away the better team on the day, and no one can say otherwise.
Well, they certainly cannot, and we are going to be taking a look at the very tough opposition that the O's will be facing this afternoon. But first, let's hear Matty Harrold's pre-match thoughts ahead of the game.
On to Carlisle this weekend, it will be a tough test, but first, looking back at these maybe last 3 games where we've not picked up a win after having such an incredible start, what's your take on kind of how they've gone?
It's frustrating. I think you've got to look at it as a whole. Some of the games we won early on, we maybe didn't deserve to win, you know, and we rode our luck at times. So, like, although we deserve to beat Rochdale, I mean, they've had a penalty last minute, so... But if I look back at them games in isolation, I'm frustrated because I think if you watch the Newport game back, we should win that game. But it's a couple of little errors that crept in. Donny dominated that game, but got a bit loose towards the end, so could have won that game. And then Northampton, which is a tough game, they're a good team. And I think it's not ideal drawing that game, but you understand maybe you do draw that game. But it's the fact they had 10 men for so long and they made it really difficult for us. I mean, their manager came in Asker and he was almost like, sorry, we had to go into a deep block against you. But we understand sometimes we can't break it down. But what we have done is we've analysed all the games and looked at where we can be better. So after Northampton, there's a clear theme that we need to be better at some things, and we work on them. We spoke about them. We've had a lot of meetings with the players about it. So it's just about keep improving. Never getting, it's the old cliche, but never getting too high, never getting too low with it, and just kind of concentrate on our performance. It's going to be a really tough game. I think they've only lost maybe 1 league game as well, so I don't think I've ever had a really easy game at Carlisle, so we know it's going to be really tough, but we've got a squad that's in good shape, and we'll go there full of confidence still. I think our performances have been good.
So on the back of that, we spoke to the gaffer and some of the players about maybe the way teams are playing us, they're kind of changing their approach and, like you say, maybe playing a bit deeper. So as a coach, do you kind of look at kind of how we can change and how we can adapt and how we can kind of overcome those obstacles?
Yeah, and that's exactly what we've done. So as always after the game, you always debrief it, you analyse it, and there's some things we need to improve at. I mean, if we think because we've started so well, one of the best teams in the country, our first 10 games, we don't need to improve things, you're wrong. You know, there's massively things we need to get better at, and you know, it's good because the group are very open to feedback, and we also like feedback back. So we had really good Monday in terms of debriefing it and then seeing what we think we can do better, also what the players think we can maybe improve on, and then meeting in the middle and showing them some examples of it and stuff. So it was really, really positive. Obviously, we had the game yesterday, and even within the game, there was a few things that we wanted out of it. But again, we still need to be better at the things we feel we can improve on. But it's an ever-going process of improving and learning and trying to beat whatever problems the opposition put to us.
Well, as everyone's been saying, it is a tough game for the O's today, with Carlisle unbeaten in 9 and only 1 loss so far this season. So let's take a look at how the Cumbrians line up this afternoon. In goal for Carlisle is number 1, Thomas Holy. Number 3, Jack Armour. Number 4, Owen Moxon. Number 6, Paul Huntington. Number 7, Jordan Gibson. 8, Callum Guy. Number 9, Ryan Edmondson. Number 14, Christian Dennis. The captain, number 17, Corey Whelan. Number 22, John Mellish. And 25, one of Andrew's friends, Finley Back. And on the bench for Carlisle is number 30, Michael Kelly. Number 5, Morgan Feeney. 15, Taylor Charters. Number 16, Toby Shows Silver. Number 20, Jack Ellis. Number 27, Nick Bellardo. And 29, Jaden Harris. And looking at the lineup, they're led by Paul Simpson, who we're in a similar situation to us last season when he came in, and he's done nearly as good a job as Richie has.
Yeah, he's been very impressive, and he's an impressive manager as well. He's been part of an England youth setup. He's a really progressive coach. He's done an excellent job with Carlisle, and he's turned the team into a very, very difficult to beat team. Obviously, the stats speak for themselves, but the game today for me will be won and lost in the midfield, because they've got Callum Guy, Moxon, and then Jordan Gibson. Gibson's got 6 assists so far this season for Carlisle. He's had a flying start. He's kind of everything that's been talked about. Gibson has been perhaps his attitude's a little bit off. He's 24 years old, and this is his fifth club that he's been at. But them three in midfield is feeding that front line, and Christian Dennis up top for them has got 7 goals already this season. So there's threat kind of all over the place. But yeah, it's going to be a really, really difficult game for us.
Let's look at Christian Dennis then. Andrew, you've singled him out as the danger man. He's their top scorer, as you say, and we've spoken a lot about our defence, and that they're going to have to be strong to try and contain him. Yeah, just a good, a very, very good striker. You will see from his goals that he scored so far this season. Getting on the end of crosses, decent left foot, good finisher, gets on the end of crosses with his head. This one again, right at the back stick, exactly where you want a striker to be, and scoring that way, but also can finish very well. I mean, that's incredibly loose defending for this one. But looks like a really top player and in very, very good form. So we need to be really careful, but I think that's why. I mean, we singled out Omar Beckles earlier. It's why our defence needs to be really, really at it today. Well, I was going to say, if you hark back to the Doncaster game and the goal that was conceded there, it was a ball in the box that maybe we didn't quite stay alert enough for. And do you think that they'll have been working on that for sure, on making sure that we don't repeat any of those defensive errors? Yeah,
absolutely. They've got to be alert there, because we talk about our game against Doncaster, but last week Carlisle had Doncaster at home and won 3-0, and they also missed a penalty in the last minute as well. So they really put a team that we struggled to beat to the sword last week as well. So we've got to be really, really at it this afternoon.
And despite the league position, Carlisle are unbeaten in 9 and the O's are without a win in 3. Do you feel as though we're almost going into this as the underdogs, Joey?
No, I don't think so. Carlisle will be aware that it will be a very difficult challenge for them today. If we're going on sort of league position, the O's have had a better start than Carlisle. Although their recent form has been good, I think they'll acknowledge that Orient will pose a lot of threats to them today. So as much as we'll have to be aware of the likes of Christian Dennis, Carlisle will be thinking about how to stop Paul Smith, Aaron Drinnan, Theo Archibald, George Moncur, it's quite an even matchup, I think. Both teams have had good starts to the season, been in good form recently, so promises to be a good game.
And John Mellish, you recognise him from our days back in the National League. He's a versatile player that we'll have to be aware for as well.
Yeah, he does have enough for a goal. I remember him scoring quite a good number of goals from midfield a couple of years back. So, can sniff a goal. Like you said, versatile player, talented guy. So yeah, he'll be one to watch as well.
On paper, but Andrew, this one feels like it'll be a draw. Both teams finishing the day with only one loss still.
Let's talk about the game on paper then, because we haven't lost away at Carlisle since 2012.
Wow.
10 years.
10 years.
Quick maths.
I feel like I might have jinxed that, but it feels like one of those games. And I know, let's be honest here, that doesn't really mean anything, because turnover of the club, turnover of the teams happens every 2 or 3 years. So that kind of form is one of those quirks of football. But it just feels like one of those things that you kind of go, right, let's just carry on. Let's carry on that run. Yeah. 10 years since we've lost away at Carlisle. Let's keep it going.
Not losing would be great, but winning would be really big. You don't want to go another game without picking up 3 points, do you, Joey?
No, you don't. And you know what? Just listening to Andrew there has made me cast my mind back to when we nicked a last-minute winner with Connor a couple of years ago.
Lawrence Vigouroux with the assist.
Absolutely, yeah. So another one of those from Lost today would be great, and last minute winner after that long journey would be brilliant. So.
Well, hopefully the O's can make more light work of it this afternoon. Don't forget, if you've been watching on YouTube, head over to the Orient website now to pick up your match pass, and we're going to pass over to our commentary team now of Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock.
Good afternoon and welcome to Carlisle, where the sun is shining, the skies are blue, but there's a real breeze in the air for what should be a very good game between two good teams, and both sides have got good news as far as the team news is concerned, Matt.